What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Single hook hawks fishing, keeping you ready and motivated for trout fishing in Pennsylvania and surrounding areas. I'm Corporal Hood. We got a pretty cool video for y'all today. We're going to talk about something that most anglers need and should have on the creek, especially if you're guiding. You're going to need a net. So we got two nets today, probably the most common nets you're going to see advertised or talked about, and that is the Nomad mid-length guide net by Fishpond and the Orvis wide mouth guide net. Now, we have fished both these nets heavily, and we're going to take a closer look in a second. But we'd like to start off by saying that we love both of these nets. We're not going to knock either one. We're just going to take some time, talk about each one, talk about the differences and the similarities, and which one might work best for you. And hey, y'all, who knows? Maybe you have a need for both of them like we do. And both these nets are available at Precision Flying Tackle. You can check them out online through our website, SHH.Fish. Just go up there. In the right hand corner, you drop down, you'll see Precision Flying Tackle, or you can use the link below. But on that website, we also have HLI and Bonus flies up there in that search tab for you, so you can go right to their websites and grab whatever you need to stay on the water. So if y'all are digging it and want to help the channel, make sure you check that out. You can also check these out at any one of Precision Flying Tackle's 3 locations: Lancaster, Mount Holly, and new to the family, the Evening Hatch in the Pennsylvania Poconos. Anyway, y'all, let's get to it. The first net we're going to look at today is that Nomad mid-length guide net by Fishpond. So right here you have it, and the topics we're going to cover today are length, hoop width, hoop length, bag depth, length of the bag across the bottom, and then we're going to go over some pros and cons of each net. So starting off with this Nomad mid-length guide net by Fishpond, this net is 37 inches total length from tip to tip inside the rim right here, 37 and a half if you go on the outside. I did measure, which is pretty much going to be equivalent to the Orvis. However, next we have the hoop, which is going to be one of the major differences between these two nets. The hoop width on this net, as you can see, the widest part is 18 inches and then narrows down to 13, and then all the way down here at the bottom, it's about 4 inches across, right there at the neck. The hoop length inside, 17 and a half inches. The bag depth on this net is a true 10 inches. And then the length across the bottom, that's going to be 10 and a half inches. And as you can see, this net has more of a taper going down, and you'll see the difference when we show the Orvis coming up right next. We're going to go ahead, show you the specs on that, and then we'll get to the pros and cons. So here it is, y'all. This is our Orvis wide mouth guide net. And when you order this, just look up wide mouth. The other shorter one, it's actually called hand net. So there's 2 different designators when you go online for that. But Orvis wide mouth guide net. This net overall, 37 and a half inch length. You get a half inch compared to that Nomad. The hoop width on this net is pretty consistent. It goes from about 12 3/4 all the way down to 12 pretty much right here at the neck. And then the hoop length on this is going to be 17 and a half inches. And that's exactly equal. They're both the same there, 17 and a half right there on that hoop length. Next is the hoop depth. This one right here, this is 12 inches true, pretty much that whole 17 inches. And as you can see, less taper there. So across the bottom of this bag is 17 inches. And up here is only 17 and a half. You're only losing a half an inch compared to that Nomad. You're losing 5 inches. You're going from 17 and a half down to about 10 and a half. So, hey, that's a much straighter, much more secure area to hold your fish, and they're going to sit in there and just drop in there much nicer. There you have it, y'all. That's the specs on those nets, and there's some differences right there just in the specs, but don't just go off of that. There's some other details you want to talk about. We're going to go ahead and get into those pros and cons, and this might make or break the decision for you because it might not be what you think going in. First, we're going to talk about that Nomad again. That's right. We're just going to hop back and forth for y'all, kind of keep y'all thinking. This net right here, one of the major features and benefits is that traditional V neck you see instead of that wide mouth. This is going to fit in almost any pack you have. Fishpond, Sims, Orvis, whatever it is. This net's much more versatile. The narrower profile on this net does make it a little more wieldable when going in and out of brush. You have it in your back or wherever you have it on the side of a sling pouch, whatever. It does have a lower profile, and it is a little bit more navigable and easy to wield. Another major benefit to the Nomad is the net replacement options. You get 2, black and white, but they're easily available at pretty much any fly shop, and you can do it yourself. Already had to do it myself once because, well, bad knot, but that's for another time. Regardless, had this one on here for well over a year. But yeah, the net, very easily available, very easily replaceable, and that's going to be a major difference between that Orvis we're going to talk about in a second. Also, this net is 2 ounces lighter. It comes in at 14.8 ounces, where that Orvis is going to come in at 16.9. And also this net here is about $30 cheaper, so that makes a difference. $30 less. If you want to replace the bag like us, it's going to come out just about even. This net only comes with a white bag, but hey, we had to keep black because it looks awesome. We love it. Now the negatives about this Fishpond net is it's not quite as balanced. The bag seems to be a little heavier than the net in the Orvis, so it doesn't seem quite as balanced. It does pull a little bit more. Another thing we definitely noticed about this mid-length Nomad by Fishpond is that this weave in the bag, maybe because the bigger thickness, wider holes, not sure what it is, offers much more resistance in the water when trying to scoop fish. You can definitely feel that against the current significantly. I wouldn't say to the point where it makes it hard or impossible to catch a fish, but once you've used both nets, you will notice the difference. And then lastly, the shallower bag. The taper on that bag, the fact that it's 2 inches shallower, you know what I mean? If you're going to be chasing big trout where you're guided, you want to make sure you get that fish in the net. That could be something that would make you go the other way. But hey y'all, this is an absolute killer net. Probably carry this net honestly more than the Orvis. We'll get into that in a second, but yeah, absolutely love it. Killer net. Those things might not make it break it for you. And another positive is, hey, it's $30 cheaper. It's still a killer net. Here we go. Moving on. What I consider the star of the show, maybe not because it's the better net, but because it is the net that I think more people question. That Fishpond is tested and proven. They've been around a lot more. Orvis, hey, they haven't had these composite nets out for as long, but they did a killer job with this one. It really only comes in two options. You get the Orvis mid-length guide net and the Orvis hand net, which is pretty sure a slightly smaller, maybe same size bag and hoop, but the handle's about a foot shorter. But this is the Orvis wide mouth guide net, composite frame once again. The best feature on this net, which really sets it apart, is that wide mouth. It's almost 12 inches at the bottom from 12 3/4 up the top. The fish just lay right in it. You scoop them, boom, they drop down in there. That extra 2 inches on the bag and the fact that it lays flat across, it's just absolutely secure for the fish. Gives you much more control when you're trying to take those hooks out. And all in all, those fish are just much more comfortable in this net, I truly believe. Another awesome factor about this net is I think because of the tighter weave, you see the smaller holes, the thinner rubberized bag itself, this net offers less resistance in the water. As I said before about that Nomad, doesn't really affect you. No problem putting big fish in that Nomad. However, once you've used both nets, you will notice a significant difference. And this net is much more balanced. The bag on this net is much lighter than that. The frame may be heavier, but this bag is much lighter. Another pretty cool feature with this Orvis wide mouth net, if you take a look right here, there's a straight edge there. Now we'll go back to that Nomad for just a second. You can see that edge is completely rounded. Completely rounded. So if you're like me and you're to the point where you don't quite need a wading stick, but every once in a while you need a little assistance, right there, that flat edge works much better when you're using it to support yourself and plant yourself. Now, these nets are not made for that. Don't recommend that, but it will get you out of a tight spot from time to time. And with the rounded head on that Nomad, it'll work, but hey, it tends to slip and roll a little bit, not quite grab the bed of that creek as well as this Orvis does. Once again, don't recommend that. But that is a pretty cool side feature of this Orvis wide mouth guide net. Now the cons on this net, or hey, if you want to say the negatives, definitely some compatibility issues with some of the packs, especially when you're slinging it in your back. You know, it doesn't fit so well in the Umpqua. Not sure about the Sims. Fishpond tends to have their packs fit really well for their nets, and most other nets will fit in there too because that traditional V. But it definitely fits in the Orvis packs. Like, you're not gonna have a problem if you have Orvis, but definitely less compatibility with other packs. Now we run a different pack. We actually run a Dragon's Egg, which is a tactical pack, but it has a center back piece with a cutout, so we can just slide this down through that cutout and we don't even feel it. Works perfect for us. So if you run a traditional backpack, you got something like that, you're not going to notice the difference. But if you're running traditional fly packs, this one's definitely going to be less compatible with everything that's out there at your fly shop. Another big one, net replacement. Not readily available. Not going to see them at a lot of fly shops, and it's a little more complicated to do. Not quite sure how I would have to do it. Never looked into it. Probably should have looked into it before I did the video, but I've had this net for almost well over 2 years, and as you can see, it doesn't have one rip, one hole. Fished it all kinds of weather, left it out in all kinds of weather, and that net hasn't frayed or sacrificed any type of durability or constitution whatsoever. Absolute killer net. Lastly, this one's $30 more because that makes a difference for you too. You get the Nomad. Well, now that we gave you the specs and you have our opinion, that's all based on experience. Those are our personal nets. You can see they're all dinged up, beat up, whatever. They're not fresh out of the fly shop. We're going to go ahead and give you our conclusion on how we feel about these nets, what we think, maybe help you figure out which one would be better for you. The Nomad, hey, that's the perfect net if you just want a killer net. You're running and gunning, you're fishing, you're just fishing for yourself, fishing with friends, whatever, but you want a net that's going to give you some extra reach, be able to put some big fish in the net. You're not going to have to worry about it. It's going to be durable, it's going to last, easily replaceable if something does happen, very ambiguous. That's the net for you. However, if you're guiding, you have clients or you have people like kids that you want to make sure you get those big fish in that net for them and don't slip them, or maybe you're on a raft sometimes, that Orvis wide mouth is probably going to be the net for you. Personally, when I'm guiding, I carry that Orvis wide mouth. Most of the time when I'm with kids, I carry that Orvis wide mouth. If it comes down to I do not want to miss this fish, I put my money on that wide mouth. But when I'm running and gunning, and in most of the videos, you're going to see that Nomad, partly because it is more wieldable, and secondly because, well, my son helped me pick it out, and it's my favorite net now. So there it is, y'all. There you have it. That's our opinion on that Fishpond Nomad mid-length guide net compared to that Orvis wide mouth guide net. We hope that answers some questions for you because, you know, it is a serious purchase. It's a lifetime purchase. Let's be realistic. You're not planning on replacing one of these for at least 10 years. Basically, I just wanted something a little more wieldable than that Orvis wide mouth, and I didn't really want to lose too much capability, so that's why we ended up getting that Fishpond. Plus, I always wanted one of those Fishpond nets, and then I'd already had the Orvis, and we'll tell you that story another time. But anyway, both nets absolutely fire. If you're looking for a killer net this season to have on the water, make sure you check them out. Precision Fly and Tackle, any one of their 3 locations, or their website, or our website, SHH.Fish. And if you're digging the channel, want to help us out, check out our other sponsors, HLI and Bonus Flies. We got links below, and they're also up there on SHH.Fish. Hey, we just started with that playing around, so don't hold it against us, but they're up there in the right-hand corner, y'all. Thank you so much for checking us out. Really appreciate the support. Wouldn't be here without y'all. Hope this helps. Hope you're learning. Stay motivated. Keep it tight. Single Hook Hogs out.